The Taliban are advancing relentlessly across Afghanistan as the US carries out the final stages of withdrawing all its troops. With international forces largely gone, the Islamist group is taking more territory from a demoralized Afghan military, including in Ghazni province, not far from the capital, Kabul. But for more on the situation there, I'm now joined by journalist Ali Latifi in Kabul. Ali, the Taliban are gaining ground in key areas. There are reports that the US military launched airstrikes targeting them in recent days from bases outside Afghanistan. What can you tell us about that?
In recent days, there have been U.S. airstrikes. The U.S. has said that they will continue to launch airstrikes against purported Taliban targets. This was something that the Afghan government had been asking for because they feel like, airstrikes will actually help them in the fight against the Taliban. And that's basically, at this point, that's all the U.S. has said.
So does it look like that the Taliban will take over power in Afghanistan sooner or later?
We can't say that yet because the war is still ongoing. As much as districts are falling to them, they're being taken back. The security forces are putting up a fight. There are public uprising forces taking them on, but they are very intent in showing their power. They're trying to take over cities as much as possible. I mean, if you look at a city like Kandahar right now in the south, it's surrounded and basically to the north, to the south of the city, and wide expanses, which makes it very difficult for the Afghan security forces to set up checkpoints and really try and secure those areas. So they're definitely trying to, at the very least, show that they can pose a threat to major cities in the country.
Ali, from your vantage point, is the world, as we hear that many Afghans are actually leaving the country, is the world, and Europe in particular, facing a new refugee crisis?
Well, first of all, there's already been a refugee crisis in this country in terms of IDPs, and that's growing more and more every day, and that's much more dramatic than, the so-called refugee crisis in Europe. And I think, if anything, these countries in Europe and Turkey, they have been here all along. They have been here for this war. They know the state of this war, and yet they've done very little to impact the state of that war and to make life better for people here. And at the same time, many of those countries, including Turkey and Germany, still continue to deport Afghan refugees back to a war zone where they're afraid to go out into themselves.
Ali Latifi there in Kabul for us. Many thanks, Ali.
Thank you.
Well, as the security situation in Afghanistan is getting worse, countries who share a border with it are on alert. China is hosting 2 days of talks with the Taliban, while neighbouring Tajikistan says Russia is ready to provide it with assistance. As Taliban fighters make gains across the country, many Afghans are forced to flee the country. Most are headed west, crossing over the border to Iran. From there, some will continue into Turkey. With refugee facilities in Turkey suffering from overcrowding already, most Afghans hope to make it to Europe.